The Rachel Zegler film, this Snow White flop, has been seen coming for months now. Heck, I mean, years. I mean, this wasn't a surprise to anyone who's been paying attention. Now, the writing was on the wall the whole time. Every single time we saw a new headline about Rachel Zegler, it wasn't about how, great the trailer looked or how excited the people were. Nah, it was just backlash over and over again, and it kept piling up. You see, it was Rachel Zegler and her comments with Gal Gadot and her awkward presence in the promo tour. Disney's, treatment of the dwarves. Sorry, bandits now, and just the general fatigue that people feel toward what Disney's been doing to classic stories lately. I mean, basically, it's been a mess from day one, and Rachel Zegler has been at the center of this particular fiasco. And now, after all this waiting, the numbers are finally in. The opening weekend finally happened, and guess what? It tanked. I mean, hard. You see, unsurprisingly, the Hollywood Reporter called it a potential bomb. Nah, take that potential part off. It's a full blown nuclear level bomb, okay? And let's be honest right now. Disney simply just dumped hundreds of millions of dollars into this Snow White flop, and they're not even seeing a fraction of that back. You see, you can't spend this any other way unless maybe you work at Collider or some other social media outlet still pretending that Richard Zegler delivered box office success, okay? But Gal Gadot, I mean, even though her role was smaller, is still tied to this nightmare. You see, Richard Zegler was pushed as, the face of this film, and Richard Zegler turned it into a whole big political and PR meltdown. Now, even Gal Gadot's presence couldn't even balance it out. Now, Collider ran with a nonsense headline saying something like, Rotten Tomatoes score sinks lower despite box office success. Box office success? What success? This Snow White flop barely cracked $86 million worldwide in its opening weekend. That's barely a blip. And it opened at half of what The Little Mermaid did. And that movie right there lost a lot of money. I mean, let that sink in. Disney somehow managed to go ahead and make something even less appealing than Little Mermaid, no surprise there, and they did it with one of the most iconic fairy tales in history. You see, Richard Zegler and Gal Gadot headlined this thing, and neither one of them could save it. You see, the story was weak, but Rachel Zegler's controversial interviews and her dynamic or lack thereof with Gal Gadot dragged it down even more. Now, it's not just a Snow White flop, it's a tone deaf attempt at reimagining a classic that just explodes in slow motion. I mean, we've seen this for years to come, and if you look at the numbers, it's not even close. Now, domestically, $42 million. Internationally, $44 million. And we all know that these live action Disney, remakes usually just do way better overseas. I mean, that's the one thing they could go ahead and always count on to cushion the blow. Now, but not this time. This movie's not just underperforming in the States, it's also flopping everywhere, you see. So when Rachel Zegler hops on Instagram acting like this is some sort of massive achievement, I mean, calling it the number one movie in the world, I mean, yeah, no kidding. It's the only big release, okay, that's out right now. All right, that's like saying winning a race when you're the only one who actually showed up. Okay, and Gal Gadot, I mean, for her part, hasn't said much, and that silence speaks volumes. While Rachel Zegler continues her insane cope campaign online. Okay, and sure, I mean, Rachel Zegler's doing her little victory lap on social media. Just basically trying to spin this thing into something that it's not. She's thanking everyone involved, posting cute behind the scenes photos, trying to go ahead and manufacture some kind of heartwarming so-called journey narrative. But guess what? People aren't buying it at all, especially when she's very noticeably left someone out. That's right. She left out Gal Gadot. her co-star, the only other major name in this movie. Okay, you see, Rachel Zegler managed to thank the horse she rode, her costume, some trees and everything in the background, everyone except Gal Gadot. In other words, she threw shade at Gal Gadot. Now, anyone who's been keeping tabs on this knows that Rachel Zegler and Gal Gadot haven't exactly been BFFs throughout this whole thing. All because of the fact that, Rachel Zegler let politics get in her mind. But people have been talking about that awkward Oscars moment for months now. And when they were on stage together and wouldn't even look at each other, I mean, that's telling. So it wasn't much of a shocker right there when Richard Zegler left Gal Gadot out of the big thank you post, but it was actually very telling. Very telling, especially considering that Gal Gadot just got a star on a Hollywood Walk of Fame, and Richard Zegler didn't even show up for that. I mean, that's a pretty loud message right there, without even saying a word. Okay, but let's be honest. Some folks tried to stir up controversy around Gal Gadot, especially in the shell media, being cast in the first place because she's Israeli. But let's be real, that wasn't the issue here. You see, the real issue, the real problem has always been Rachel Zegler herself, But from the minute that she opened her mouth about how Snow White doesn't need a prince, or how she doesn't want certain people to support her movie and everything, specifically Trump supporters and stuff. I mean, basically, it was game over. Definitely game over. She turned a fairy tale into a big woke political statement, and she managed to go ahead and alienate half of the country before the Snow White flop even came out. And look, I mean, you don't have to be some sort of diehard political junkie to see the problem here. You just need basically a little common sense, okay? You see, when you go out and tell a chunk of your potential audience that they're not welcome, I mean, guess what? They're not going to show up. That's the equivalent of one director saying, if you don't agree with my politics, don't buy my book. That's not taking a stand. That's just bad business right there. Disney used to be good at this stuff. They knew how to bring people together. Now they're just making movies for like old Twitter or current Blue Sky and expecting the rest of us to pay for it. And also, let's not forget the butchering of the source material either. Now, everyone knows that this is not Snow White anymore. They ripped out everything that made it magical. No dwarves, bandits, no prince, no romance, no charm, just a grumpy lead actress, a half-baked script, and a checklist for modern woke Hollywood messaging. I mean, they try to go ahead and turn a timeless fairy tale into a big woke lecture. And people don't go to the movies for lectures. They go to be entertained. Instead, what they got was big cringe from start to finish, okay? You can also tell how much this, thing stinks of just by the word of mouth. You see, everywhere you go online, X, Facebook, Blue Sky, YouTube, people are dunking on Rachel Zegler, okay? And it's not just the usual suspects. You see, it's even new people, every day discovering just how bad this whole situation is. I mean, you can even see it on TikTok. But some of them are just now seeing clips of Rachel Zegler in her interviews from a year ago and going, wait, is this Snow White? And then they see the movie or just the trailer and realize, nope, I'm out. Now, the audience gets destroyed when they're being talked down to, and this movie did just that, okay? But let's be real, this movie was never going to succeed in the first place. I called it, you called it. The question was never, whether it flop. It was always, how bad is the flop going to be? And we're seeing that answer now. Millions and millions down the drain. And you better believe that the finger pointing is coming. I guarantee you all that there's going to be the media types that they're trying to blame Gal Gadot for the failure somehow. Okay, now they'll say that her performance didn't land or her song wasn't strong, and sure, her a lot of people say her performance wasn't great, but come on, that's not why this thing bombed. It bombed because Rachel Zegler drove it off a cliff with a smile on her face and an insufferable attitude to match. Okay, now and be real with you, this is not rocket science at all. If you take a beloved character, rewrite her from the ground up, stripped out the charm, the heart, and the story that people actually wanted to see, and then seek a divisive lead actress like Rachel Zegler to telling half the country to stay home, you're gonna just go ahead and get burned, okay? Now Disney played with fire with this one, and they really got torched. And I don't think that they've learned a thing from it, okay? They'll probably double down like they always do, pretending that it's all some kind of brave artistic choice instead of a bad business decision. Okay. And unfortunately, that right there is no surprise. And you know what? It's just sad. I mean, it really is. You see, Rachel Zegler was handed the keys to an iconic role, and I believe Disney had backed her with this, and she turned it into a disaster. Gal Gadot, despite being a talented actress in her own right, got dragged into this mess too. And this could have been a movie that both Rachel Zegler and Gal Gadot were proud of, but instead, I mean, it's going down as one of the biggest box office failures in Disney history, okay? So yeah, I mean, Rachel Zegler is out here doing her best to smile through it all, posting pictures, telling stories, acting like this was some kind of, beautiful journey. But at the end of the day, well, the numbers don't lie. And one of the most telling numbers is still zero. Now, the number of times that she's mentioned Gal Gadot and all the celebration, I mean, you don't need you don't even need tea leaves to read that situation, okay? That feud is real, and it's only going to get more obvious as the damage control ramps up, okay? But yeah, I mean, anyway, that's where we are right now. One of the biggest bombs in Disney history, all dressed up simply in a sparkly dress and hollow Instagram caption, okay? I mean, no amount of spin is going to change the fact that this particular movie flopped because Rachel Zegler and Gal Gadot were part of a broken, tone-deaf project that simply ignored the fans, and you can call that whatever you want. Backlash, fatigue, or just plain bad luck. I don't care, but the truth is simpler than that. They forgot who they were making this movie for. They forgot the customers, and they paid truly for that. So let me know your thoughts for this in the comments below. Be sure to smash the like button in the video, subscribe to the channel, turn on the bell for notifications for future videos, so that way you're notified future uploads and updates. Till then, peace.